Oh, it's a cozy, beautiful day in the desert. Good morning, adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. We're waking up here at the Ironwood, and wow, it's a wonderful, beautiful day today. Last night it got pretty chilly, and so I was all bundled up. I had my hood on like this. I had my covers all up around my face. And then I woke up this morning and the sun is shining. It feels great, and we're ready to get this day started. So I was gonna start my day, and Tyson decided we were gonna do dog yoga instead. Mostly it's him. I'm just sitting here as a participant by default. Like, really? Really, dude? Really? Okay, so Tyson got up, and now I'm about to get out and start moving around a little bit. And then we're going to talk about something that I have been working on for a while. I have been reviewing the RockPals power station that I've been carrying with me to give you guys some good feedback of using it over an extended amount of time. And I have some thoughts. Some of those thoughts are good. Some of those thoughts are a little questionable, but I want to give you guys the best information that I have based on my continued use of this particular product. Now, I received this product way back in December. I've been carrying it with me ever since, using it for a variety of different things. I took it to Venmo. I used it all on the road this trip to power my fridge and several other devices. And in doing so, I've kind of worked through some of the kinks and have figured out some of the flaws of this particular power station, but I've also found some little hidden things that you might be interested in if you're looking for a larger power station. But before we get into that, I'm going to show you what it looked like whenever it came in the mail, so you can see what the box looks like, also some of the special features, and then the next time you see me, I'll be dressed and ready for the day so we can talk about power. Okay, now that you guys saw how that it came in the mail, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the product itself and what I've kind of decided that is positive and negative about it. Now, a lot of times whenever I do these reviews, I have tons of cool things to say, but because we've done a lot of these, some of the regular features are pretty well known by now. So you know that we have AC and DC charging, you know that we have a variety of different outlets on the product itself, and because of that, we can do a lot of things here in the van. But let's talk about the little things that have been both good and also bad. Let's start off by looking at the size. The size, as you can see, is pretty large. It does fit, however, under my bed so that I can plug my refrigerator into it directly, and that's been very nice. The problem that I have with the size of this is it's also super, super heavy. Ugh. And when I say heavy, it's like pretty heavy. This is one of the heavier power stations that I've tried, and it definitely is a brick of weight. So they do have the two handles, one on each side. I can pick it up with one of them if I'm walking to make it a little easier to walk, but for the most part, I prefer to carry it like this and just kind of shimmy because this thing is super, super heavy, guys. So amongst power stations of this size, I would say it's probably one of the more weighty ones, that's for sure. It doesn't really bother me a lot unless I'm having to take it a longer distance, and then it kind of hurts my hands a little bit. You can see they're a little bit red from even just picking it up. Now, despite that, it doesn't make it a bad power station. It has a lot of watts that we can work with, and because of that, I've been able to leave my fridge plugged in for days without it running completely down. So that's really super nice, and the squareness of it allows you to put things on top of it, or also to put it in those compact spaces like the one I have it in. You know, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I have tried a lot of power stations, and the ones that have a flat top just work better in a small space because of that ability to move them into different places. So on that, I think RockPal got it right. On the weight, wow. I feel like I'm working out every time I have to move it. Now, something else that I have noticed about this particular power station is that you cannot, and this is my biggest pet peeve about this power station, you cannot do through charging. Now, whenever I'm going down the road, I need to have this bad boy plugged in, and then I also need to be able to have my refrigerator still plugged into something. However, with this power station, you cannot have it plugged in receiving power while also sending power to something else. So that makes it really, really hard. Now, with that said, if you have a secondary power source, this works out really well because you can charge this while driving and then rely on the other power station to be running your fridge. But if this is your sole power source, it's not the greatest. This is my one pet peeve I had with the other RockPal that I had also, and I'm hoping that they do this correction in the future. As of right now, though, it will not allow you to through charge, and that's a big bummer. Now, again, that doesn't make or break a power station. It's just a convenience thing, and a lot of times, especially when we're in a small rig, going down the road, driving as much as I do, some days I'm not going to have an opportunity to put my solar out, so being able to through charge is super important. If I can't do it, it's kind of problematic. Now, if you're using this as a backup power source, or if you're using this in a rig where you don't have to have something plugged in, still, this could be a good power station for you. As you can see, there's lots of places that you can plug things in. We do have 3 of the standard plugs. We have our 12-volt plug. We have 2 DC outs, 3 USBs, and a USB-C right here. So all of the ability to go out is on this one side. This is your input, and you have a place where you can plug your solar or your traditional charging plug into, and so all of that is over here. So at nighttime, it's kind of nice because you don't have to worry about which side what is on. It's all right here. Layout in regards to display does matter. Now, as much as most people wouldn't talk about that, when you are looking for something that is practical, that you can use in a small space, that you're not going to have to pull out everything just to be able to see what's going on, having everything kind of centrally located is a big plus. So I'm really happy that they did focus on that. Considering it is such a large power station, everything is centrally located. Now let's talk about the last thing that kind of is a little bit weird to me when it comes to power stations. And it's just a preference more than anything. I like a power station that can charge pretty quickly, especially a larger one, because a lot of times if I do go into a Starbucks, I'm not going to sit there for 25 hours charging my power station. At the same time, if I am out in a place like this, where it's a big, expansive space where I can put my solar out, sometimes I'm going to be able to sit for the whole day. Sometimes I'm going to be able to sit for 3 or 4 hours. Some days the wind's going to come out and get me. So I need something that charges rapidly. RockPal is a little bit slower. Now, I'm not sure if it's just me, but the experience that I've had thus far using the RockPal over the past few months, because I will be honest with you guys, it has been up and down, up and down. Whenever I charged it at base camp before I left, it charged pretty rapidly, but that was its first charge. After that, I was charging it off of the van itself a little bit slower, and I thought, okay, that's not super convenient, but I'm driving 1,000,000 miles, it's fine. But then I had this happen. I went to Starbucks the other day and I was charging it, and I was like, I wonder how long it truly takes this thing to charge, because I haven't been like really putting it on a clock while it's doing it. So I did. I put it on a clock to see what would happen like within an hour and how much that it would gain charging off of a standard wall plug. You know, the ones where you can pull all the power so you can get it charged faster. It was a little confusing. And when I say a little, I mean a lot. Look at this. So in these 2 clips, you can see I'm charging it. You can see the percentage. You can see what time it is. And then you can see I'm charging it, what the percentage is, and again, the time. Would you believe that after that, we were only there for about 25 more minutes, and then I brought it out to the van, plugged in the refrigerator, and suddenly, miraculously, it said it was 100%. Now, I've tested a lot of power stations, and I don't think that's typical for you to go from a substantially lower amount to in 20 minutes it bursts forward and say, oh yeah, here we go, we're done. But that's what happened. So what was that about, RockPal? What was that about? Confused. And I thought at first maybe there was just a readout error, but it has been rocking ever since then, just trickling down slowly, and it's now at about 28%, and that was days ago. So it truly did get to 100%. But why and how? I've got so many questions and I have no answers, and I've tested this thing for a while. Now, as a 1300-watt power station, I can plug in just about everything that I have around camp, from my kettle to my laptop and everything in between. I can also plug my heater into this, my heating blanket, my refrigerator. All of these things will work on this power station without incident and without problem. I can even run more than one of them, and it doesn't seem to have any problems. However, that charging situation is a bit daunting. Now, you might recall a while back I reviewed a different power station, which I'm not going to mention their name, but you can go back through my catalog and see. And my one piece of feedback for them was that they had charging blocks, where it was like a broad amount of percentage that it could possibly be that you're charged to. And that was super problematic because you could be on the bottom part of that percentage rather than the top, and you would never know. I would say that this problem with the charging is very similar to the sobriety of that one. Like, realistically, I think that not knowing how charged you really are and then bringing it out to your van and it's saying, oh, I'm fully done, it is kind of a wishy-washy thing. So I'm hoping that they'll look into this. I'm hoping that this is isolated to my personal one. I don't know, but I did want to give you guys real feedback. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things. I mentioned before when I'm staying at a campsite like this that I like to use solar. And RockPals has a solar panel that is a 200-watt solar panel that is compatible with not only the RockPal station, but with others also. Now, at some point, I'm going to do a whole video of the solar panels that I have that I travel with, so I can talk to you a little bit more. But let me give you my feedback on the RockPal solar panel. I love that panel. It is really heavy, but at the same time, it's a 200 watt. It is so good. It is 4 individual faces, and what I can do is I can set them up kind of against the back of my van so that they have a little extra support. Put the power station that I'm charging behind it so it stays in the shade, and so I can get a clear look at the display screen, and it charges so much more efficiently than my 100 watt panels, or even than 2 100 watt panels put together. I don't know why it does that, but it just does. And I noticed that whenever I was at Schoolypalooza and I was using those panels to charge the RockPals, it seemed to respond pretty well. I was able to go from completely dead to completely charged within the span of just a day of charging using the 200 watt panel. So in conclusion, what do I think about the RockPals? Now, despite the fact that I have several things that are kind of a little iffy to say about this, I have enjoyed this power station. I really have. It has a lot of power, and I will say, if you're looking for something that has a ton of power, this definitely checks that box. It also, because of the size of it, again, fits into a lot of places, and because of the fact that it has a flat surface on every side, very good for van life. I do appreciate that. If you are wanting something that's a bit lighter, probably not the power station for you. If you're looking for something that is kind of beefy and can hold up a little bit more to the hits and damage and things like that, so far so good on that. I'm pretty rough on things just to test them out for you guys, and this one seems to have held up pretty well. Now, with it being right where my feet are and kind of push up against it sometimes, you know, there are some things that I've noticed, but that's on me. For example, in this place where I put the cord for the refrigerator, if I'm moving up against it a lot, it can knock things loose. Part of that is the cord, part of that is because the port isn't extra super tight, but none of them are, so it's okay. So all in all, I would use this power station again if I had to go out and buy a bigger power station. However, I would do it with a little bit of caution. And I really am hoping, again, that RockPals looks into these few things that are like constructive feedback, and they kind of make a couple of adjustments. The weight is a big deal for especially women because we're trying to lug these things around, and sometimes that can be a little harder. And then also the charging thing. It's a big, huge question mark. I don't understand it. Despite that, it works good. So RockPals, I've now reviewed 2 of the power stations for. The first one was small but mighty. It had the little handle. It fit in a lot of compact spaces. This one is a lot bigger, has a lot more power to deliver, and they have taken some of the constructive criticism from the previous units and done this particular one. A lot of people were looking for a lot more power, so they definitely gave us that with this one. And all in all, I'm not mad at it. I know sometimes a review can be a little bit confusing because I've said some things that don't sound great, but that doesn't mean I don't like the power station. It just means these are areas for which I can see that some people might be a bit confused like I was. You know, it is what it is. So for now, guys, from our camp, I hope that you have enjoyed checking out this RockPal review with me. I hope to share the panels that are in the top pretty soon. Again, I want to do that in a separate video so you can see what kind of panels I have, so we can compare the 200 versus the 100, and then show you all of the sizes along the way. Again, guys, remember, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and I'm really happy that you came along for this review today of the RockPower 1300. I hope that it's helpful. If it is, let me know in the comments section below. Remember, guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and having power along the way in our van journey, that is just such a better time than being without. I'm just saying. Until next time, guys, bye!